Interview time. Interesting one. Very interesting here. We got Dave Schultz and Maddox Schultz. And if you haven't heard the name Maddox Schultz in the hockey world, especially around Saskatchewan, then you've probably been away for a long time. This is going to be really cool. I want to start with, first off, guys, thanks so much for making some time to come down here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave, let's scooch that just a little bit closer there.
Sure, yeah.
Let's go to the story of Dave Schultz, right? My kids are going through the power skating and your skating schools. You're a Winnipeg guy. Now you're in Regina. But hockey really until about 13?
Yeah, I played until I was 13. So my parents put me in figure skating as a young kid. They just said, you better be able to skate. So that's how I started. And my figure skating coach was my power skating coach. And she said, hey, listen, we can get you a little bit of extra edge work. So then I was still playing all the way up till Pee Wee at that age. It was Pee Wee when I was 13. And at the end of that last year, figure skating was starting to get more interesting. I was getting better at it. And I liked the challenge. So I got heavier into that.
Because I remember, I'm a 77 birthday. So I remember there was that power skating push, right? And it was a lot different than what our kids learn nowadays. So when you go back to the older days of power skating, how much has it changed to now?
Yeah, well, it was almost like goal line to goal line, over and over and over again. It couldn't have been more dry. And I mean, sometimes you still kind of see that out there, but I think right now guys have to be better. They have to be faster and they have to be more dynamic. And more than anything, your edges they're key. And so my figure skating coach teaching me that, I was obviously a better skater than most. I have hands of steel. I still do. Anybody I've ever coached with, they'll validate that. Can't shoot the puck worth hell. But I could skate. That was my strength. And that's what allowed me to play.
How good of a figure skater were you?
I was okay. I competed internationally one year and I went to nationals 7 times but I wasn't, I competed against the best in Canada, who at that time were the best in the world, but I wasn't one of them. No.
Who are some of the people you would have competed against?
Yeah, I competed against Elvis Stoico, so he's kind of a legend, right? And I took some lessons from Brian Orser when he first started coaching, and a bunch of other big names. And then Jeff Buttle and I, we went to our first international together. And I remember a few years later, I was sitting at home in between my wife and I. We ended up working on cruise ships as skaters in the show, and I was sitting there watching him compete at the Olympics while I was having breakfast with my mom in Winnipeg in the middle of February. So yeah, I never amounted to as much as I think I would have wanted to become as an athlete. But in saying that, I think you learn to grind. I think you learn, for those that aren't necessarily the most talented or don't have the best access, how to put some things in front of them, because that's what it was for me.
So the story goes, right, is your wife, Maddox, your mom, Vicky, is in figure skating as well, and that's kind of the tie. Is that how you guys met?
Yeah, we met in Edmonton. There was a pretty good training center, the Royal Glenora Club, so we both moved there at different times, didn't know each other, but we had the same coach. And him and his family took me in because I had nowhere else to be, so it was awesome. So real close. He ended up being the best man at our wedding. It was a really good situation, and we both trained there at the Glenora in kind of one of their heydays. They were real good, athletes everywhere, and it was a good situation for us.
She's from Central Butte.
Yeah.
So at what point do you start trying? And do they ask you to play a little senior hockey at some point?
Yeah. Well, her oldest brother, Dallas, I think he was on the team at one point. Then he was a coach at one point. I don't know. He's a manager at one point. They're all over Central Butte. All of her brothers, her family. So yeah, we used to go in between breaks when we were touring. We would go and watch. And yeah, I remember just being in the vehicle on a cold day on our way to Avonlea going, what are we doing for this? But then you get there and it's such an environment. It was awesome. So we had some pretty good times following Dallas and the Central Butte Flyers around.
When it comes to skating and hockey, in your mind, who would have the perfect stride?
Yeah, well, the stride's that's kind of a buzz thing. Everybody's like, well, he's got a long stride or his feet are too wide or what have you. You look at people with power. My favorite player to watch ever would be Paul Coffey. He was he used to come out of that zone, and sometimes he'd cross over in front, sometimes he'd cross behind, and he was just able to get so much acceleration. And he used to wear skates way smaller.
That's a true story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I watched him glide effortlessly across the ice. I mean, he'd be someone I'd love to watch. Now, I mean, today's generation, we're watching McKinnon, we're watching McCarr. Quinn Hughes is unbelievable on his edges, and a lot of the stuff I do, and your kids would know because, and Maddox ad nauseum, sadly, I'm out there just repeating it. Even today I was on with the Catholic school system, and we were working on a drill on a punch turn. And I just kept bringing up like, well, this is how McCarr did it to Doc not long ago, right? If you hit YouTube, you're going to see it. It's right there. And so I get into it in a big way. But if I had to break someone down as I want to watch someone skate for pure power, probably Mike Gartner, unbelievable. And then in terms of edges and finesse and being able to move on the ice, I'd watch Paul Coffey all day.
So when Maddox starts skating or gets old enough to go out on the ice, how old was he? And was it hockey first or figure skating first?
Well,
or just skating?
You know what it was? It was tears first, really. Like,
okay.
Well, you hadn't turned 3 yet. And we were, I mean, so Vicky and I, we work in the rink. So that's a thing that we need them to love it, or we hope that they love it, because that's how we're going to spend time with them during the day. So we were living in Medicine Hat. That's where Maddox was born. Maddox and his sister Sydney, and we were teaching a program we called Kids Skate, and it was in the afternoon. And he was not quite 3, and he's out there, and he's got his helmet on, and he's just kind of walking, and a couple of falls, and it was a half-hour session. And I just said to him, like, if you make it through, buddy, we're gonna go for hot chocolate. It's gonna be awesome. So we made skating that day, and for the next few months, like a destination. Right? And it was going to have a bunch of stops on the way. We were going for hot chocolate. They had toys at a little cafe we'd sit at. And then later on, we get ice cream on the way home, and we just made it a thing. Did he love it right away? I'd probably say no. I'd probably say no. Yeah. Yeah. It was 30 minutes was a lot for, 2.5 and no, I mean, there's structure out there, but when you can't move around so quickly, you just feel like you're in the middle of the ice by yourself.
What advice do you give to parents now on, okay, I want to get my kids on the ice, and what age do you think is?
Well, I wouldn't change it though. I thought it was awesome. Like three is probably right. They have to be able to take instruction and be away from mom and dad. And if they're comfortable with that, then let's go. I'd put them in stiff skates when they're little, something that gives them a ton of support, and then have them walk around at home. So if you've got guards or carpet, just get comfortable with it. Let them fall down, get up. The more they're because the skates are stiff and they're different than their shoes. So that's already a variable that kids aren't necessarily comfortable with. So the more you can remove that and get them comfortable, the more likely they're going to have a good experience. Make sure they're warm. Make sure they've peed, right? Hit the bathroom before you get out there. It's a coach's worst nightmare trying to carry kids off. And then just make it something fun. Something fun. It should be a fun time for them.
Okay, so we've heard dad's side of it. Maddox, what do you remember from when you first started skating?
Yeah, it was in Medicine Hat, and just remember being on the ice with my little helmet on and just ripping around out there. Probably not at the start ripping around, but once I got going, I felt good, and kept going from there. And I remember a little bit older, I was in my Red Canada jersey ripping around on the same ice, and we moved to Regina when I was when I turned 5, I think, right?
Yeah.
When I turned 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, nothing changed from there. It was the same in Regina, and, it's carried through.
You figure skate until what age?
I think it was 8. Yeah.
Yeah, 8.
And so at this point, you're figure skating and playing hockey, or?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, we might be using figure skating strong, right? I think he went to one competition, and it was just because we were going there with our daughter, Sydney, anyways. He liked being out there. I think you like the competitiveness, and then that he's in charge. And the sport figure skating, it's just you, right? You don't have a team that can carry you, and it's like, so, and then, I mean, you're an athlete, so he liked jumping. So that part took to him right away. But he had no interest in going to competition, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately for my wife and I, we were kind of hoping he'd be around a little bit more.
What other sports Dad talked about you being an athlete. What other sports did you play and did you like when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was young, I played soccer and baseball, and now I just golf lots. And in the summer, golfing has become one of my hobbies, and I do it lots with my friends. And I've taken it a little bit more competitively with my friends now. I'm not so fun anymore. But yeah, it's something to get away from hockey in the summer, and I've enjoyed it so far, and yeah.
But I heard the story that you were like, yeah, no, I'm not going to get tired going water sliding because we got a big game coming up.
I guess so. Like at tournaments, if there's a water slide or a pool at the hotel, I don't think I would go in the pool unless it was after the tournament. Just because I heard a rumor. My dad always told me that if you went in the pool, that your legs would get really noodly, and I tried it once, and it's true. So. I kind of stayed out of the pool before.
What do you remember about that? Like at what age? Because that takes a lot of maturity.
Yeah, we always said this, and I think my wife and I work in performance sports, so you're aware of like how important being hydrated is, how important being fueled properly. But then you go beat the crap out of your body in the pool the night before, and having at that time we had 8 a.m. games, so kids are like glossy eyed and just struggling to get themselves up and down the ice, and mom and dad want to know why they don't have more ice time, and everybody's exhausted. And I think we just explained to Maddox, like, you can do that. Of course you can. But it's going to affect how you play, and how you play seems to affect how you feel about the day. So we've just tried to put information in front of them, and then ultimately when you're a kid, you decide, but your parents guide you. So that was always us. But what we did, and our junior Pats team did a really good job of this. We talked to the parents and the kids. We said, listen, throughout this year, and if you want to go, no problem. But most of us probably won't. But at the end of the year, our wrap up, we're going to hit the Ramada, and we're going to water slide for 4 hours and get it all out. Coaches are going to be out there too, and it was a day. So we kind of made the most of it that way.
I know there's a big story made out of Bedard saying he'd never eaten McDonald's or fast food. How early did you kind of hone in on, that kind of thing, or watching what you eat and diet and all of that?
That's a good question. I think, Bedard, I think that might be a rumor, but from a young age, you still got to have fun and be a kid. Not having cheeseburgers before a game, obviously, but the odd time, you gotta be fun and be a kid. And I think in terms of diet, I wouldn't say I have a diet right now or anything, but I watch what I eat and I try to eat healthy, and I think I've been doing a good job of that.
What would that consist of these days?
Like before a game, I'd have a salad with chicken, get my protein in. Just being healthy all around. Yeah,
my wife Vicky, she she's pretty. We've benefited from being around sports nutritionists, right? So they put stuff in front of you, and you go, these are the things that are going to affect performance. This is what you need for a sport like hockey, and we ask the questions, and then we give him the information, and then he makes a decision. So there is enough out there that if you wanted to and you're interested in it, eating properly before sport, now more than ever, information's out there.
We live around the corner from, I guess your line mate, your teammate still, in Sirkin. And it seems you can always go by that house and hear him in the garage shooting pucks. And are you the shooting pucks, and have you been as a kid always shooting pucks? Or were you like on rollerblades or?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. When I was little, I'm on rollerblades, like you said, or shooting pucks. Maybe even have the little ball hockey stick and then the ball shooting in the garage. Even some mini sticks, just trying to work on the little intricate mechanics. But he's always shooting pucks. He's always trying to get better, and he's someone I look up to. It might not seem like it, but he works so hard. And
I think it's funny that you didn't elaborate on how you wrecked most of the house with shooting in the garage.
Yeah, so I'll elaborate on that.
Why don't you start with our neighbor's Subaru?
Yeah, so I was on the driveway one time, and shooting pucks, and we didn't have like the how these days they have like the nets above the net.
Sure do, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't have that, and I was shooting, blew one over the net onto the other driveway, hits the Subaru. I think it was the mirror.
No, it was the gas.
The gas.
Yeah, that was a quick $1,000 touch there. Yeah.
Dad bought a net the next day?
No, Dad moved me in the garage the next day.
Okay.
And obviously silly me, I put particle board behind.
Yeah.
Our garage is unfinished, so behind the net, he blew a hole through the net, blew a hole through the particle board, hit the sheathing, shook the stucco. We had a shed there on the other side, so I moved the shed to kind of clean out that spring. And I just got powder all over the place. I got an exposed house. So that was another $1,000 touch. And then we've got glass in our garage door.
Yeah.
That's in the process of getting repaired. So yeah.
Currently.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, how often do you shoot in the garage? Right?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one time I was shooting and, I took a funny hop off the crossbar, bounced a couple times and then shattered the glass. And,
Yeah.
I called my dad right after and I was like, sorry, Dad. But I think it's one of those things that happen and, you just got to kind of figure it out. And, I think I did a good job of that.
Who do you remember watching when you were younger, maybe growing up? Maybe it was going to Pat's games or whatever. Who did you kind of watch or idolize growing up?
Yeah, so when we moved to Regina, I went to a lot of Pat's games, and even in Medicine Hat, I went to a lot of Hat games. And, obviously Connor Bedard playing with the Pats, we won a lot of the games with our team. And, even Sam Steele when he was here and Connor Hobbs and all those guys, they were fun to watch, and I think the Pats had a good team back then, and it was super fun watching Bedard too. And in the NHL, when I was little, I looked up to everyone, but especially Connor McDavid. I got posters on my wall of McDavid and everything, but just remember watching him and things he could do out there were unbelievable. So it was super fun watching him when I was young.
First to you, and then you can go here. But at what age do you start? People I'm sure are talking to you, and did you say, okay, well, Maddox is gonna have to play up a division? Was that Pee Wee, and then how did that process go?
No, it was earlier than that. So he's benefited a lot from being around some really great. We have so many good coaches in our community and people whom we've looked up to. And I would put Dale Durkach and Chad Molesky and Rob Montaigne, Ryan Pollock, but also Dave Struch and Brad Harf. Like they all seem to have kids at the same age. Like how lucky am I first as a parent and a coach, and then for him as an athlete to have these influential people around. And I remember we went to a tournament. It was a second year novice, and Strucci called me and he said, like the score was, it was silly, right? It gets a little bit, it's weird to talk about, and he called me the next day. He's like, you got to get him out of this league. He can't play here. It's not good for him. It's not good for anybody. And so I listened to Dave and I called Hockey Sask and I was like, I think, this is the information I've got. John Paddock had said something similar. You got to find a way to move him. And they said, well, it doesn't matter at this age. And I think they're right. It didn't. And but then when we got through a little bit as a second year Adam, or going into his second year Adam, he'd had a really good first year. So we thought maybe we could move him. And I think Hockey Regina was open to it, but they had gone through a shift with their president. And I appreciated that they said to me, look, we don't have a policy and we can't make decisions based on one kid here and there. And working with boards and working with a provincial sport organization in Sask Sport, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
But then they created a mechanism and they called it the age advancement, which I appreciate it's that and not called exceptional status for what would be an 11-year-old kid back then.
Yeah.
So they created one for Pee Wee. He didn't get to take advantage of it, but he was able to do it in Bantam. It started a long time ago. Every year, Maddox was fortunate to play as an underage kid on the Brick. So that was in 2019. And I mean, I know there were kids that maybe were offered a spot that didn't go, and maybe he benefited from that, but it ended up being a good experience for him and a really good experience for us as a family to go, okay, we better make sure we're educating ourselves and supporting him, because new things are going to come his way that don't come that way normally when you're 9.
What do you remember about, the first time you played up and
I think it was that Brick tournament. It was I just went to the tryout because I was playing on the junior Pats that year and just had to get some more ice time, and I think we just signed up and I think I played well in the tryout, I guess, and I got offered the spot on the team, and I just remember going to that tournament. Super fun. Obviously Lennon DuPont playing on Team Brick Alberta, led the tournament scoring or whatever, and then they lost in the final, but actually went to the water slides there after the tournament.
After you were done.
Yeah, after we were done. We didn't do so well, but I just remember it being such a fun experience, and was fortunate we got to go back next year.
Last year, I watched he's getting called up to the Pat Cs, right? As a what were you? 2nd year Pee Wee.
Yeah, so you're 13.
13.
Yeah.
Like it was, and you went out and you were physical, and it was awesome. So, is there a time that what was the most nervous you've been so far to play a game?
Actually, yeah, what you said, it was probably that U18 game. I remember it was the night before, and there was some talk about it that I might be able to AP, and Coach Ryan Hodgins called me that night and the night before and just asked me if I wanted to play a game, and I was like super hyped up and ready to go, and I was like, let's go. I probably couldn't fall asleep that night, to be honest, and just waking up, eating breakfast, doing everything I can to perform, and I went out there and I scored a goal, which is pretty cool. And but before warm-ups, I was probably the most nervous. The boys are chirping me, "Come on, Schultz, don't miss it out on your rookie lap."
Oh, your rookie lap.
My rookie lap. I actually missed the net on my rookie lap, which kind of sucks, but I scored, and that was it was pretty cool.
How nervous were you guys for that one?
Well, but that was a process, because Hockey Regina allowed him to practice, but you had to apply to play. So, and it's different than what this year was. It was you needed to ask for an exception. So there was quite a bit of paperwork, and as you're going through paperwork and you're having people write letters, you're asking a lot of the community, and you always stop and think every time, like, is this right? Does this make sense? Am I doing the right thing? But we saw him in Bantam as a 2nd-year player, but a 1st-year age, and we're like, no, he's going after big guys. He seems comfortable. I trust Ryan to put him in a situation to set him up for success, and he had like 6 or 7 weeks of practice. We won the Graham Tour. He had a good tournament. All the stars were kind of aligning, and then Hockey Sask has a committee. They meet. They get back to us on, it would have been a Wednesday or a Thursday, and he's playing Friday night, and I'm in Winnipeg. I'm at a skating event in Winnipeg. So he gets the call, and then I find out, and I'm not going to be there. Like, happy to be at the skating event, miserable to miss his first game. I was so nervous also not being in the rink. Like, you just want to talk to him, be like, hey, keep your head up. Like, right?
And eventually, I think he eventually gave me a call and was like, just make sure you play your game and keep your head up out there.
Guys might want to take a run but in saying that, I thought, we played PA that night, and I didn't see anybody go after him. We have such quality people in our province. And your goal was nice, but Casey Brown makes this unbelievable dish, right? So as much as we want to talk about how
and then
that was a beauty,
grabs and
he goes and gets the puck. But that's what that group of people and that community, our community, is like. They just supported it. So, but you did throw a couple of hits, and maybe that was guys like taking it easy on you, and you saw an opportunity. But for Vicky and I, we were so nervous, and I'm on the phone with, as much as I love my wife, I can't get a game update from her, because she loves everybody. Yeah, they were good. Everybody was doing great out there. And I'm like, thanks, honey. Yeah, I gotta go. I got another guy calling me, and it's another one. One of our peers, our coach, is like, all right, it was good on the forecheck, lost his guy in the zone or whatever it was, and it was. Those are the details I wanted. But thankfully, it was a good experience.